Three, two, one. Hey, everybody. This is David Bloom, co-founder of Next TMT.com with my co-founder, Daniel Frankel, live from sunny, smoggy Southern California. Our
That's right.
first live streamed broadcast, telecast, streamcast, whatever we call these things these days. You know, the language is just not caught up. We are doing our midweek project in concert with our partner, Media Play News. This week, it is inescapable, unfortunately, but it's just the way it's going to be. Sorry, kids. We got to talk more about that Warner Brothers deal and the aftermath of what looks to be now, we have some numbers, a $10 billion, $111 billion devotion of resources. A rather shocking number when you think about it. And I think the most interesting thing to me is we are now in a place where there's a race going on. There's two races really going on against each other. One race is to get the deal put to bed as soon as possible. And that's why they've already secured federal thumbs up, because Trump wants it and all the folks that are below him want what Trump wants. And on the other side, potential opponents at the state level, Rob Bonta, California Attorney General, has said he's going to put together a coalition similar to what happened in some previous big unwise deals to slow them down or block them. And getting that coalition together, plus we've still got the European, UK. I'm told that there's something like 50 jurisdictions around the world that will have some say on this. So a lot of those are going to be fairly pro forma, or they're going to be invaded by Trump. It could happen. He needs a list. He's got to keep throwing things out there. It's like no more Epstein files. Let's invade another country.
Well, everybody has
Ecuador
talked
was the
about
new one.
the
Ecuador was the
regulatory
new one.
ease
Yeah.
from the beginning of this deal in terms of the FCC, the Justice Department, and that's probably true. But if you look at other recent mergers, and you brought this up 6 months ago, and it keeps getting brought up, the Sprint T-Mobile merger was not nearly as big, $26.5 billion. It took 8 full quarters, 2 years to consummate because of resistance at the state level. Regulators in California, New York felt like it was doing too much to destroy competition in wireless. Ultimately, there was a gambit with Charlie Ergen and EchoStar to create a fourth wireless network that never went
And that worked out, huh?
It did not.
As they're unwinding it, and Brendan Carr is basically taking away the spectrum and selling it to Elon Musk for satellite, which again, not great in the way it was done, but if you've got a scarce public resource, Charlie's not doing anything with this thing, right? He's just not. He's not. He was going to build a whole thing, get it up by a certain amount of time, not even close. So he had a bunch of spectrum sitting there, and he got some money, and
So as
EchoStar.
it relates to the Ellisons and Paramount, they have a ticking fee every quarter after September 30th. They're dinged another 25 cents per share, which adds up to about 650 million, give or take, per
A
quarter.
quarter. And it's just every quarter. And I think, here's what I think they should do on the ticking fee is they should take that little ticking clock from 60 Minutes, because boy, talk about pertinent now, and just put that up there. And then just watch the money tick up and the extra debt. Just as a little, I don't know.
Well, I think a gas pump after this Iranian war might be more appropriate, but it's going to add up. And if you're already $100 billion in debt, which is circa the number of combined debt once this thing all settles, how much more in debt are you? It's not, it just adds up. It's a staggering amount.
It does add up. I do find it interesting that, David Ellison has gone on various news organizations. He's going to be on CNBC again tomorrow as he's trying to say how great this is going to be. And I would note that their shares are up 18% in the last week. Netflix's are up 25%. If I were betting, I'd probably, and this is not investment advice, do not take my word for it, but boy, Netflix sure looks better positioned. David will have a big honking company. And he said, we're not going to have major job cuts. I think that's what you say to Don Trump before you lay everybody off, because Trump has expressed concern, bless him, for trying to save as many jobs in Hollywood as he can. It's an American industry, one of our few positive exports, that's actually, we run a trade surplus on. And so that would be a good thing for an America First president. But that being said, I don't see how you can protect jobs, merge two streaming services into one, which he said he's going to do, and call it, I don't know what, HBO Mount HBO. I like that one. That one's good. And not have major job cuts to get down from 6 down to like 3. I just saw some stuff from one Standard and Poor's, one of the big rating agencies, and they said anything over 3.8 debt leverage takes you into a re-rating, into junk bond status, which means you have to pay much higher rates of interest on your debt. And that's where they're going. And so they have to get it down within 3 years. They want to be back into investment grade status within 3 years. I don't know how you do that just by merging things without laying anybody off in a human heavy operation. Yeah, you sell off the Paramount lot, maybe Netflix buys it. But you got other things coming up, like the NFL, which is essential. If this acquisition was existential, keeping the NFL is going to be existential for CBS, right? And it could be as soon as this year. The NFL reopens. I think it's supposed to do it in 2029, but they might start early. And that is all we're hearing now is they're going to start early and try to extract more money, just like the NBA did.
Geez, I mean, you lock up this ungodly 11-year contract and you get to open it up. It's good to be the NFL, but we'll get to that
It's
in a
good
second.
to be
I
the
wanna ask
NFL.
you, what do you think? There's this Sturm and Drang in the powerless Democratic side of Congress to find out what the Justice Department told Ted Sarandos last week. I think there's this belief that something swayed him. They told him something very discouraging, and that's why Netflix backed off.
In honor of our vast German population of viewers, whom I adore, it's Sturm und Drang.
Sturm and Drang.
Sturm und Drang. Storm and strife.
I'll press a button and have your pronunciation.
Like versant, as we like to say here at the podcast. Versant means a cable company that did not hit its numbers last earnings call. First, actually, and last earning call a few days ago. But that being said, the Sturm und Drang over this stuff, there's a lot of, they don't have any power right now.
He
But
made
we
his
had our
roundup already.
We had our first primaries. It's going to be a messy election year. And on November 8th, Trump is officially a lame duck, whether he likes it or not. Everybody's going to be trying to figure out, 2 days after the November elections, they're going to be figuring out what the House looks like. It probably shifts like it always does. Second, the midterm after general, almost certainly he'll lose the House. And it's gotten bad enough, and we'll see how it goes with this war stuff. Defense, it's really defense, but it's war. How that goes, could lose the Senate. And then he's really got problems because no one's taking him seriously. He's not going to be in the best shape physically as he keeps having these little micro ailments or signs of stuff, treatments going on.
Geopolitical stuff aside, what do you make of this? I mean, do you think it had any influence over? I mean, I think Sarandos.
It might have been the cherry on top, the sour cherry on top. But these guys at Netflix seem to be really smart and know what they're doing and have been very good. And Sarandos says, look, we had game planned all this stuff out. We knew kind of what things were going to be. We scenario
game plan out one, hostile counterbid. I mean,
well, this was just, let's not forget where we started on this. A year ago, Warner Brothers was $12 a share. The first bid by Paramount was $19 a share, which was a 60% jump, 62.3 or something like that. So from 19, fine. But you act like the extra $2.5 billion in debt. Well, we're journalists. We're used to carrying $2.5 billion in debt on our personal bank accounts. That's no big deal. But, why Netflix is they kind of go, okay, that's a pile too high for us to deal with when we've got other things we can do with, $50 billion in cash.
I'm not dismissing fiscal discipline and smart guys knowing when to quit. I get that. But I think there's a broader level of surprise. It's not just me. I think the world was surprised that they didn't at least come up one time and play the game.
Why?
Because they're willing to spend $28.50.
Yeah. They took a look. They said, this is good, but at this price. Actually, what the problem is in our capitalist society, we don't actually know when a sale is a deal and a sale is a ripoff. And this is a ripoff.
Yeah.
Okay. You may really want that coat, but it's 5 grand and it's Southern California. So you wear it 3 times a year and you just maxed out your credit cards and can't buy, oh, I don't know, repairs to your car. So kudos to them as far as that goes. Look, if you are actually like, we don't have to have this. We know they're going to spend as much as they can. And extra added bonus, yes, they're going to be really big at the wrong time as they're paying everything down. While we're investing in AI and tripping merrily down the street, doing our things, maybe buying some more NFL rights or whatever, and making a whole bunch of new Bridgerton or something.
So back to Paramount, Warner Brothers, they combine their streaming services, their scale increases. They're at like 200 million plus.
Yeah, but remember that everybody double counts and stuff. Netflix buy HBO Max, it'll be 350. It's like, no, something like 95% of people that had one of Netflix also had
Also have
HBO
right.
Max. Because that kind of covers the waterfront. So you're not getting 350, you're getting more like they're at 325. You're getting, a considerably smaller number in terms of the overlap. That's all I'm saying. But that being said, it's probably not the same thing with Paramount Plus, which has only got 80 million subs. And it's fine when Landman's running and you go there and hate watch it because, Billy Bob says things that drive you insane.
So now they have
And when you
U.S.
don't,
Marshals, don't they? I mean, I know it's on CBS.
Marshalls, it's just Marshalls. There's no US there. It's only Marshalls. And the latest iteration of Taylor Sheridan, he's going to end up doing a story about every single resident within 25 miles of Yellowstone Park. I have a joke. So the next Taylor Sheridan show for the combined streaming service is going to be about geological formations in national parks. It's going to be called the Yellowstone Pit with 2 T's. Because you get a little bit of Yellowstone and a little bit of the pit, and you got the new show.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm trying. Yeah, I mean, if he can
I
keep
thought
doing
that
it.
one up this morning, kids. Don't try it at home.
So, all right. Yeah, I'm still trying to understand the mania behind the Ellisons, why they wanted it so bad. They would overpay.
Well, because they already overpaid once and they got this thing. He had said some things like last summer and stuff that I don't think he like, it was like, cool, Dad, let's go buy a studio, Dad. You've already got Lanai and all of Carbon Beach and Malibu and an entire town in Florida. Let's buy a movie studio because I like making movies and flying. Okay, son, let's go get a studio. And they get the studio and they look at it and they go, it's still really getting its ass kicked, because Skydance isn't bringing that much to the table. They did fine out of nothing. He did a good job. And he got into a lot of different things he should have gotten into, things that Paramount didn't always get into because Sherry Redstone was dirt broke.
Right. This
And
was
now
a part of the blueprint all along to really create the movie studio that they wanted. They had to have all these assets.
Yeah, you had to have something. And clearly, as fast as they went from deal 1 to deal 2, making that preemptive offer in August, they clearly had a longer term plan. And if you are somebody like Netflix, you go, okay, we'll take a run at this. We'll see what happens. And by the way, if they get really big and they buy this thing and they're way over a barrel financially, and then they get to deal with all this, we don't have to worry about them as much. They're going to need to make deals with us for content because they're going to need to license stuff to make money. I mean, you're going to see a lot more of The Sopranos on Netflix, I bet. Just guessing. I think that was some of what was going on. I will say that the deal, and then we should get into this one because I think it's really fascinating. The combined companies have a humongous portfolio of sports rights. Front Office Sports had a nice piece, just kind of laying it all out. So there's the 11-year, there's the NFL deal. They pay $2.1 billion now. It will almost certainly go up because the NFL will almost certainly reopen those things. TNT has a deal with the Major League Baseball worth $3.75 billion running through 2028 when they all have to we talk about that. There's March Madness that TNT and CBS do together already. So now we finally get to find out what True TV is. I can't wait. That's about $1.1 billion annually running through 2032. The Masters, which matters to some folks, not me, because golf is like, huh? The Paramount, of course, has the UFC. They paid $7.7 billion for those rights, but they have overperformed in the first couple of months of that deal. So that's looking like a real winner, but a again, very expensive. They have a deal at TNT with the NHL worth 1.6 billion. And now they're pushing for early renewals like others to solidify their fees before all the money's gone. There are big soccer investments in Champions League, which is the huge Europe-wide club competition that is a blast to watch if you like anything about that game called football that is not played at quite the same level in the United States. UEFA Europa League, which is sort of off of that, and the National Women's Soccer League, among much else. And then, of course, college sports. They've got CBS has rights to a lot of
The
the
Big
Big
Ten.
Ten games, both men's and women's, both football, basketball, et cetera, et cetera. And the Big 12, which is pretty good football, great basketball. I think they got 3 teams in the top 10, I think. Conference USA, Big East, ACC. So that's a lot. That's a lot of sports. And they also get a couple of the early college football playoff games as a result of that suit they filed against the NBA last year.
Warren, yeah.
Yeah, that they filed and it settled out when they lost the NBA rights. Disney said, here's some lovely parting gifts. Beat it, kid. So that's a big portfolio, but an expensive one. But it's absolutely vital for what they're creating, which is going to be now something as big as Fox One, as big as ESPN, the app. I don't know. I guess Amazon's starting to pick up some stuff. Major League Soccer and Formula One beginning this weekend on Apple. Netflix has the NFL games and a bunch of one-offs because they don't want to like own like a weekly sports thing other than WWE. So they'll be one of the big 3 players along. Oh, yeah, right. This other NBC Universal guys, they might have a few sports rights too. Well, there's like, okay, 4. So you got NBC Universal, CNN, ESPN, Paramount, Skydance, Warner Brothers Discovery, the Mount War, I think we've decided to call it Mount War, and
Is that
Fox.
decided?
Those are the big 4. Mount War.
I think.
Well, look, we have a new War Department. Pete Hegseth wants to be the War Secretary. We should have a mountain of entertainment devoted to war. They're going to be doing a Call of Duty movie at Paramount.
It's a brave new world, and frankly, I'm a bit fatigued from watching Warner Brothers assets get renamed, named back to what they were, shuffled around, and there's no end in sight with it. And I'm sure if
I look forward to the really bad branding decisions that are soon to come. It's going to be fantastic.
With that,
well, all of this though, when the NFL reopens, because we have a fight we need to pick with each other.
We're not done.
No, we're not done. We will be wrapping this very quickly. Our beloved and patient audience members, the NFL thing, when it reopens, there's a lot of thought in some people's minds that Netflix will come along and steal away some of those CBS games. And it's just as a screw you, we've got cash, you don't, and them away. Or Amazon does it, or YouTube does it, right? Because they definitely have the cash to do it. And it'll be interesting to see how much more cash Larry Ellison has to finance the next overpayment on some asset. But if it goes off of broadcast, it's got a political component to it that I find really interesting. Went back and looked at that Semaphore interview a couple of weeks ago with Brett Carr, the FCC, your favorite FCC chairman of all time, Brendan Carr. And he had a really interesting argument, which was they've opened an inquiry to look at the future of sports on broadcast TV. And of course, it's cloaked in this sort of Norman Rockwell-esque, it used to be a lot easier to find your games when there were only 3 broadcast channels, no cable, no streamers, no nothing. And in fact, we would carry you to the game and then charge the advertisers for doing it. And now it's much more difficult to find all that. And isn't that terrible? But
you see that story a lot. It takes like umpteen subscriptions to follow your team. Yeah.
Yeah. But the bigger point he made was it is important to keep NFL games on broadcast because it is the absolutely essential programming offering that makes them financially viable. And without that financial viability, you do not have the economic structure in place to finance local journalism on these TV stations.
Now,
And that's very compelling to me because I
speaking
think
of
more
local
professional
journalism,
journalists
let me
being
car
employed is good. You
interest.
think screw them all because they're conservatives.
No, I just think that what he wants to promote is local news through the lens of Nexstar Media Group and Sinclair, both of which are, it's not, it's fear mongering and right wing propaganda. And you can say, well, that's journalism. That's,
Well, I remember Channel 7 saying if it bleeds, it leads, and focusing on every murder in Los Angeles, like that was the most meaningful news in a city with 11 million or a county with 11 million residents in 1995, and how that really contributed to a fear of crime that really wasn't
innocent record
justified by
lows.
the
And if you're there
numbers
screaming to me in Los Angeles that
30 years later. But I'm telling
gangs
you,
are combining, be afraid, be very afraid. That's a different message than what journalism is. I mean,
but I'm saying you don't need to be a conservative
they're not
news
covering city
organization to
council.
do
They're not
that.
doing the local news things that we think that need to be done, and they do need to be done on a white corpuscle level of our democracy. We need to reestablish that in some way. But what these large institutional broadcast groups want to do is different from that. And I say, as a journalist struggling to keep my toehold on this thing, there's work at the post office. Well, there used to be. Drive an Uber. I don't know. I don't want to do that. I don't want to support that. Anyway, you feel probably feel differently, but I
Well,
don't.
my feeling is that whatever the limitations of Nexstar, and full disclosure, my son works for Sinclair, but not on the news side, not on the broadcast side. He's over on the digital genius side.
He's just following orders. I get it.
His whole deal is just how do we make sure that the licensed HBO stuff that we run doesn't violate any of the broadcast license rules that we have to follow, or I'll get fired because they've got all the language and all that stuff that is just peppered through all of those licensed programs that were made for like late night cable are now finally running over the air, but digitally in Dubuque, Iowa at 8 a.m. You got to make sure, we don't want Key and Peele saying naughty things because that'll be a problem. And it's a gig, but it's nothing to do with journalism because he was too smart for that.
Well, you got to avoid those FCC fines. I mean, that's
Well, or loss of license, but they and going to risk that. So he said literally there was somebody, predecessor sometime before him, well before him, who wasn't attentive enough and they fired the whole department. Oof. So that's it. But the reality is people who are trained journalists paid to do a job are not all automatons working in lockstep. They may be politically more conservative than either you or I or anybody in Los Angeles, but they're doing a job with an idealism that I find admirable and an intention to reflect what's going on in their communities that's important. And I think that understanding this link between football and finance, allowing local journalism to survive. I mean, as you said, you look at all those thousands of newspapers that are gone. That's not great. All those local newspapers are gone. 3,000, I think, in the last 20.
we could go on. Let's, for the sake of the media play news audience, let's.
Well, I'm just all about the media and the play. But that being said, this is David Bloom, co-founder of Next TMT with my co-founder, Daniel Frankel, and our partnership with Media Play News. This is our first ever streaming adventure. We hope to do this on a more regular basis, and you can tell how much fun we're having.
Yeah.
But we want to get on to LinkedIn on a routine basis, and we have a page there for what we do at Next TM, as in media, T, on LinkedIn. But you have to have a certain number of people who like our page before we can stream it live onto LinkedIn. So we need your help. If you see this and like it, just like it over there on LinkedIn too. And we're going to be here on Twitch. We're going to be on YouTube, and you can get us on demand as my love life is off on demand. I would spouse. She's got many things she needs me to do.
The other.
But sign up free for the newsletter, the weekly newsletter, arrives in your mailbox on Monday mornings at nexttmt.com. You can listen to us on YouTube and you can listen to it on demand on YouTube. You can listen to us as a podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, I'm sorry.